Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unvarnished. I am one of your hosts, Chris Hyde, and that's my partner, Darren Painter. Hey, Darren.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, what are your favorite kind of people out there in the world, Darren?
Well, really smart, fun, energetic people.
Yeah, but more importantly, designers, right? Isn't that what you? Yeah.
I forgot designers.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I
Wait,
thought.
didn't I kind of describe most designers?
I just want to say
Most
I feel warmly included, Darren. Not to worry.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I literally was looking right at you, Sabine.
Yeah.
When I said smart and funny. Chris is also a designer, or what? I know you're not just a designer anymore, but Chris also more than a designer. But both of you fit the bill of smart, fun, funny people, I think.
For sure.
Good job. Good job, guys.
So, as you can see, everyone, we are speaking with Sabine Lenz from PaperSpecs. She is our guest today, and we're very excited to have her. Hello, Sabine.
Hello. I'm very excited to be here.
And, well, you should be. This is going to be a great episode.
Yeah, and I feel like most people out there are like, yeah, that's Sabine, because Sabine is everywhere.
Yeah.
Sabine is like synonymous with PaperSpecs. You think PaperSpecs, you think Sabine. You think Sabine, you think PaperSpecs. It's quite an accomplishment what you've been able to do in the last several years.
Thank you.
And, well, we're going to back up a little bit for those three people, and you know who you are, that are watching this.
Come on, Rob. Come on, Rob.
That don't know who Sabine is. We're going to have Sabine give us a little history. All right, Sabine, give it to us.
Okay, you want the short version? I take it. So I am what I like to call a recovering graphic designer because, as you know, Chris, you never get rid of this. It's with you all your life. But more than 15 years ago, I got incredibly frustrated with the lack of easy access to information for designers about what is possible in paper. Thus the name. It started with paper, I have to be honest, and started PaperSpecs, which is a hub for designers who love paper and print, designers and brand owners who love paper and print, and just want to quickly understand what is going on. And then ultimately, very quickly, I realized, well, paper alone, doesn't get you very far. You want to print on it. So what we're really doing today is you might have seen me on little videos on social media, but we also do longer videos showing very cool pieces from all around the world, trying to inspire designers of what is possible today, but also provide them with bite-sized pieces of this is what you can do. So we have a weekly newsletter, we do webinars, we do hybrid events, we do once a year a large in-person event, and then obviously you can, follow us and see us on social media. So our goal really is to bridge the gap. That's my mission in life, to bridge the gap between what designers know or think they know and what is actually possible when it comes to paper and print today.
Wow. So how's it changed over the years? What you've seen?
The good news is there's so many more possibilities for creatives out there when it comes especially to print technology that has evolved so much. The bad news is that most designers are not aware of everything that is possible to them. And they're stuck in, oh my God, I can't afford this. Oh my God, I don't have the print run. These kind of things. So there's also fewer paper and merchant reps available. It's just a sign of the times. So it's harder for designers to get good access to good information, to information that they understand. That's why I like to call it bite size, because we don't need to know how long the press is and how heavy it is and how much the printer paid for it. That's all very nice. All we need to know is what the heck can I get out at the very end of it?
So, wow. I guess because I've been in print for so long, I kind of take it for granted what I know about it and what's available out there. So, how do
you want me to give you a quick example? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I spoke at a fabulous design conference a few weeks ago And I like to do the quick check the temperature, as I like to call it, and say, so where do you think you are in your knowledge when it comes to paper and print? Do you think you crawl, you walk, you run, or you fly, like you've got this down pat? And everybody was pretty much raising their hand at the, I'm kind of between running and I'm roundabout running. Maybe not a marathon, but I'm pretty good at this. And then I like to put it to the test, very unscientific. And I do a little things I call a paper quiz. I'm like, okay, so, multiple choice answer. What is this? What is that? What is Smythe binding? And you can basically see, the faces dropping, and they realize they don't know as much as they think they know. And I say this with all the love in my heart because I am a designer. So I don't blame them, because a lot of the work they do these days is not design related anymore, and we have to face that fact.
Hmm.
It's about 20-25% of their time is dedicated to print. The rest is designing for web, UX, you name it.
Right. I mean, well, now that you talked about that audience, I'm curious. What's the demographic? Like older, younger, middle, all of them?
Mixed. A very good
Totally
mix.
mixed.
It was a great mix, actually, for anywhere from they were all, majority were graphic designers in some way, shape, or form. But again, a lot of them do web. And as you know, that's easily accessible. It's very forgiving. You can work with low res files. You don't want to do that when you print. You don't have to worry about how you layer things, because if there's a typo, no problem. You just go in and fix it.
Yeah, and you're doing such a good job of that. I feel like one of the best things about PaperSpecs seems to be that if you were a brand new designer, if it was your first week on the job, it's an excellent place to go, right? Devour information. You could spend a lot of time there, etc. But also, if you've been in this business for 30 years and you're looking for, right, that spark, that new idea, some kind of trend you didn't know before, even though you've been doing this for so long, and instead of going back to the well with the same idea you did last year, you have this resource where you can look around. It feels like it's a site of exploration as much as it is education. Was that always sort of baked into your idea?
Yes. Thank you for saying that, Darren. We get it makes my day when I get feedback from somebody who says, "Okay, I've been in this for 30 years now, and I still learned something new," or "I didn't know you can do this now. Thank you." Because let's face it, as I mentioned earlier, the technology is changing. What we can do is changing, and where do these designers go to find out what is happening? They rely on their local printer, who will tell them what is available to them. They might not even know all the things that are available. And yes, to your second point there, it always been, I know how I learn best. I need to be inspired. And I'm like, wow, that's very cool. How do you do this? And then, so I always joke, I'm like, we're going to lure them in with the inspiration, then we hit them over the head with the education, so to speak. Because once somebody says, wait, this is very cool. How do I do this? They're much more interested in learning how to do this than if you just say, here's the learning, figure it out.
How are printers doing in bridging that gap?
Can I claim the fifth on that one? No. There's some printers that are doing incredibly well. But there's also a lot of printers who are not. And they want to sell print. And that attitude, unfortunately, how do I say this? As I mentioned earlier, the days where all designers were printing and that was the only game in town has changed. And we have to acknowledge that. We can't just say, well, we're waiting for the good old times to come back. It's not going to happen. So we need to acknowledge the fact that print is part of the mix, but it's not the one solution anymore. And we have to make it as simple as possible for designers to understand what is happening and what is available to them. A print is intimidating. Let's not kid ourselves. Just Google it and you go down a rabbit hole that is so deep, your head is spinning. So the easier we can make it for designers, for anybody who wants to print, to understand what is possible, the better. The better for all of us, because they're more likely they're going to print. If we overwhelm them from the get-go and give them all the terminology they will not understand, they're confused. And a confused mind, as we all know, doesn't make any decisions. And they say, well, I'm very comfortable with the web and PDF. Let's just do that.
So I'm sorry, Darren, I cut you off there. But do you think there's more opportunities now with designers because of all the possibilities that, like, if you're able to bridge that gap? Because a lot of designers aren't even thinking print. They're thinking obviously online first and not realizing how print can work into an integrated program or campaign. Do you think there's more opportunity now than it has been for designers to approach designers?
Yes. Print is, we experience a renaissance, a resurgence, if you will. Funnily enough, Gen Z and Gen, what is A? They think print is the coolest thing in town because it's completely new to them. You and I might think, well, it's been around forever, but for them, it's like, whoa, this is completely different than online. So print really has the opportunity to break through the clutter. I think we're all digitally fatigued, let's put it this way. And a good printed piece, a good designed and printed, well done, designed and printed piece has the chance to be so much more impactful than ever before, because people receive fewer printed pieces. So the printed pieces we do should count and should also be memorable, compelling in whatever way the message is that you want to get across. And I think there are opportunities here that are not explored.
It's that what you just said is such a fun reality for what you're doing at PaperSpecs. It seems that you have a very fundamental, genuine love for this combination, right? This combination of print, paper, finishing, design, the way your brain works, the way you sort of approach your day. Can you share some of that passion? Why are you so sort of consistent about driving home this message, time and time and week after week to your now 20,000 people that I think get that newsletter?
Yeah, more, yeah. Great question. I just thought about this the other day. Now, if I would, if you, when I was in my early 20s, would have told me I would enjoy going to print shows and kick some tires and look under the hood of some presses, I would have said, heck no, I'm a designer. I want to do pretty things. But I also realized that I waited for a long time for somebody else to do this, quite honestly. I'm like, somebody's going to step up and, get on their soapbox and do this for designers. And nobody did. And then at some point, I'm like, if I don't do this, I probably will regret it for the rest of my life. So I started doing this, and quite honestly, to see designers' eyes light up when I explain things to them, if it's at this recent conferences or at our own events, when they come through the door and they see all these printed pieces, and I basically can see the lights go on, their eyes light up. And that's kind of, it's a very, I don't know, very humbling that I'm able to bring this to designers, and they walk out of there, I'm like, I had no idea I can do this.
Right. Yeah, that's such a sort of a great personal, I think, approach to what you love to do.
Hmm.
How do you stay updated? How do you stay updated on trends? Like, I imagine people are calling you, emailing you all the time, and you're looking around, or maybe I'm wrong. Like, but how do you know what's hot and new and trendy in the print, paper, finishing worlds?
Mm-hmm. So we over the years I've built very, very great connections to a large number of paper mills, and I often have a quick glance into what is coming down the pipeline. We have with trusted partnerships there. I go to print design conferences. Print conferences, D-Scoop, others, just to see what is coming down technology wise. What can I tell my peeps about? What will excite them? And then there are some trusted printers that I work with as well, whom I check in regularly to check the temperature, so to speak, and say, okay, what do you see? What is happening? Printers that I know are really going out of their way to help designers, to not sell to them, but basically be more of a partner and help them to create their vision in a printed form, so to speak. It's not just like, oh, okay, we have CMYK and white, so that's what we're going to sell today. And their approach is more like, okay, let's step back. What is the goal for this piece? And let's see gently how we can help and enhance what you thought. Because a lot of designers might not even be aware of, wait, it doesn't cost me much more if I do a short cover, or I can actually add, I can do this digitally. Wow. They don't know.
Now, as a designer, I love swipe files. I love seeing things, and
Yeah.
that's what you're doing all the time. How can printers be a little bit paper specky? Like how can they become, how can they do this for themselves, to, because a lot of designers sometimes don't, because they don't know, they need to see the whole rainbow. Like they need to see
Yeah.
it and then pick out the things that they want to then apply to their projects. How can a printer do that?
Beautifully said. I will borrow the rainbow example. I like that. So basically, where I'm different than any other swipe file you go to is that I only show pieces that have actually been printed. For one, it's very astonishing. You see a lot of pieces and it's packaging or whatever it is, and you reach out and it's like, oh well, kind of that was a mock-up and we never really printed this. I'm like, yeah, that's no, like not flying with us. This actually has to be printed. I always joke, Photoshop is very patient, on all the other software. It's very patient. You can create just about anything you want. But the same goes for printers. I mean, a lot of times on their website, just because designers will check out your website. Let's not kid ourselves. If you approach someone, the first thing I do is I check you out on your website. Um, have a gallery and case studies and really a gallery of printed pieces, the best of the best, so to speak, and tell people what was the problem, what was the solution, how did you contribute to this, so that they don't say, oh my god, he gets it, they speak design, um, and build that trust in that way, so to speak. And remember that just because you have a hammer, not everything's a nail.
So what are printers doing badly right now when trying to work with designers? You don't want to answer that.
um, Let me put it this way: a lot of there are some printers that do an amazing job, and you know who you are. There are others who try to sell to printers, to designers, still the way they did 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and that just has changed. That's just not uh, the way it works anymore. So, like everything, the times are changing and you have to change with them. You cannot expect designers to come to you in multiple ways, in multiple levels, but you have to go to them. That may be not just physically to them, but also where they are. When they come to you with a printed piece, when they come to you with any difficulties, meet them where they are knowledge wise, where they are in their design experience. They might say, and as I shared that example earlier, they might say, oh yeah, I'm good. I know what you're talking about. But you can very quickly tell, if you pay attention, if they actually follow what you're talking about. If you're going into, well, we can do the singer side zone and then we can do this and that, you can tell very quickly, if you pay attention, if they actually can follow or not. So then step back, because the water hose approach is not going to do it. Really meet them where they are, talk to them, like, what do you want to achieve? Maybe a trifold is not the best idea, or a trifold brochure, or yes, you can do a trifold, but what if, I'm keeping it super simple here, but we can also spiff it up a bit, and maybe we do a short cover, or I have a digital cutter, we can do a digital cut in the front of the cover, so to speak. There's so many opportunities that creatives will not be aware of because they're not exposed to it anymore.
You mentioned printers being exposed to things. Let's talk about PaperSpecs Live.
Ha!
Let's do it.
One of my favorite subjects.
Yeah, and it's coming up, correct?
It's coming out on September 26th. I'm very excited.
What are you
Uh,
most excited about? Yeah.
um, I think especially in the last few years, I've seen that I go to a lot of design conferences, and basically um they're all focusing on web and digital these days, and the exposure to anything print, let it be paper or print technologies, is shrinking or non-existent at all. So this is why I'm said, okay, we're stepping up to the plate, and I'm very excited because we have how-to workshops, because I think it's important for designers not just to say, oh, I can do digital foil, great. They also need to know, wait a second, this is what it entails, and there's different technologies behind it, and this is what you need to know, and this is how you can utilize this better than that. But I think the most exciting part for me is the exhibit area that we have. We have an unprecedented lineup of paper mills as well as equipment manufacturers. So, as I mentioned earlier, it's like peanut butter and jelly, so to speak. You have to have the paper and the printing. Um, so, we can expose designers to print technologies as well as papers that they're not aware of. And I've seen this in the past, and this is when I mentioned earlier, this is why I get out of bed in the morning, so to speak, when I see designers' eyes light up. We had people reach out before and said, pretty good. I have a great paper merchant, and I probably have all the samples I need. And then they walk up to me and 4 bags full of samples. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad I brought my car. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how to get this all home. So it's really seeing their excitement and being able to expose them to technologies that are easily accessible to them today, but they weren't aware of it.
Yeah. All under one roof.
Yes, it's the ultimate experience, so to speak. Yeah, and we're basically concentrating it into it's one concentrated day full of inspiration and education, and then samples galore.
Swag. It's all about the swag.
It's not swag. I'm sorry. No. These are swag to me is socks and water bottles, and no. These are pieces that I know they will keep for months to come and be inspired by. They will pull them out again and again and say, "Wait, remember I can do this. I didn't know that." They're really more educational tools.
So you have enough goodies for everybody?
Oh, yeah. And
Nice.
my concern is always, do we have enough bags for everybody? Because everybody thinks they need 1 bag and they walk out with 4.
I feel like it is a good mark of a good print and paper industry show if you have trouble getting back. If
Yeah,
you have trouble stuffing it into your suitcase or
yeah.
trunk, it's probably been a really good show. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Darren. That's what I always think.
And yours is, I think, is it September 26th in
Yeah,
Chicago?
it's on September 26th in Chicago. And if you want to find out more about it, keep it simple, paperspecslive.com. Live as in we're going to be live and in person.
All right. If you're a book, if you were a book,
This is Chris's favorite part, Sabine.
Oh
if you
my!
were,
He can't wait to get to these questions every time.
absolutely. Okay. If you were a book, what is your binding?
Currently, it would be Swiss binding with exposed single smice zone with exposed spine and then Swiss bound. I lost
Co-
Chris already. I can see it by his eye roll.
cover texture.
The book cover?
Yes. What are you wrapped in?
Yeah, it's hard. Um, Something more intriguing, not soft touch. Sorry, I love soft touch, but that's just being so used. There's so many fun papers. Um, I think one of my favorite ones is probably at the moment is a a paper that contains potato starch. I
Really?
know, just trying to keep it unique and keep you on your toes, Chris.
Okay. All right. Lastly, the designer in you. Favorite typeface?
If I say Helvetica, you're gonna hate me, and if I don't say it,
It's classic.
Yeah.
it's classic. Yes, it's timeless. I mean, otherwise, I could rile you and say Comic Con, and then you would go through the roof. And I'm not doing that because it's not. I'm just joking. Uh, please do not send me any messages. Do not call me. It's not Comic Con. Not to worry.
All right.
Uh,
I gotta erase the title that I was gonna go with for this Unvarnished episode, which is Sabine Lenz loves Comic Sans and don't tell her otherwise.
oh, sorry, Darren.
Now
So
I
sorry.
gotta start over.
Yes. Yeah.
I recently switched, by the way, to is it Aptos
Aptos?
for
Hmm.
for Microsoft Word, and I feel good about myself, but tell me if I shouldn't, because you guys are the pros at this. Should I switch
Um,
back? Times New Roman, I miss you, kind of.
do you
We've
get
had
letters?
words before, though.
Wait a second. Is Times New Roman sending you postcards in the mail, some printed pieces, and say, I miss
It
you?
tries. I have to block Times New Roman. It's getting out of hand, I think.
I think the big thing for me when it comes to typefaces is readability. I've seen designers embrace typefaces or create new typefaces, and they're very excited. And I'm like, and for the life of me, I can't read it. Um, so, make it easy for people to read. I think that really is the best part, and let the personality fit whatever the personality of your brand and your brochure is like. So, Helvetica, Aptos, they will not fit everything. You gotta be okay. You gotta dig deep and say, yes, I'm foregoing Aptos for this time, Darren, and then say this is a better fit for this brand or this
I
purpose.
love it. Yeah. You guys operate in a creative world that I like to play in when I can, but I'm over here as the writer guy. You guys,
And Chris and I wouldn't use Aptos, but we will not tell you because we don't want to hurt you.
Yes. Sabine, once a designer, always a designer. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
And if you want an opinion about typography, paper, binding, we have one.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Oh,
Yes. Everyone's going to go to your website when we link to it below if they don't know you. So they
Thank
can
you.
check it out for
and
themselves.
yes, and we'll have some links to some of your favorite episodes as well. So you're gonna have to send us some of your top 3,
My
and
top three. Yeah.
We'll put them in the links below.
That sounds fun.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. We also, I don't know if you want to share this. We have some freebies on our website, especially because
Oh,
I saw your face when I said Swiss binding, with combined with Smice binding. So we recently updated our binding cheat sheet. It's not a cheat sheet anymore. It's a substantial guide. It's a freebie. If you go to paperspecs.com/dscoop, you can download it there. Put a link in for you. I should have called it Unvarnished, but sorry, it's dscoop. One of my the favorite comments or testimonials about this was from a printer, actually, from a paper mill person, and they said, "My favorite part of this is how to break the rules. I love it, because I say, okay, these are the rules, and now learn from the rule breakers."
right.
So I think this is great for printers, but as well for designers, for printers to enhance, to entice designers and say, well, we can do it this way, but let's break some rules and do it that way.
And last question I have is, if printers want to if they want to submit their own cool piece, there's an easy way for them to do that at paperspecs.com.
Yeah, it's right there, or they can just send an email to info@paperspecs and give us an idea of what they have in mind. We are lucky enough, I have to say, that my team always jokes. They're like, don't send her anything for Christmas. She gets the coolest printed pieces from all around the world and she gets all excited. We couldn't compete with that, Yes, happy to, look at things and see what is worthy, so to speak, and share with creatives what is possible.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Well, Sabine, thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
Oh, same here. All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Hey, guys.
Thank you, guys.